It was supposed to be a fresh start, a cheap studio apartment on the edge of the city that didn't break the bank. My name is Elias, and I spent my first night surrounded by stacks of cardboard boxes and the smell of old dust. The lighting was terrible, flickering with a rhythmic hum that felt like a heartbeat. I set up my camera to document the move, unaware that I was filming the last moments of my normal life. The air felt heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. While shifting a heavy mahogany wardrobe left by the previous tenant, I noticed something strange on the wall. A draft of icy cold air hit my ankles, coming from a gap that shouldn't have been there. Behind the heavy wood, the wallpaper was torn and hanging in strips, revealing a faint outline. It looked like a door, small and square, plastered over long ago, but now cracking under the pressure of time. My heart began to race with a mix of curiosity and an unexplained sense of dread. I grabbed a hammer and began to chip away at the plaster, the sound echoing through the empty apartment like gunshots. Beneath the debris was a raw wooden door with no handle, just a simple iron latch that was rusted shut. As I forced it open, a gust of stale metallic air rushed out, smelling like a basement that hadn't been opened in a century. I picked up my phone, turning on the flashlight to peer into the void. It wasn't a closet. It was a tunnel. The crawl space was narrow, lined with the same decaying floral wallpaper as my living room, which made no sense. Why would anyone decorate the inside of a wall? I crawled in on my hands and knees, the camera shaking in my grip as the floorboards creaked beneath me. Every shadow seemed to move just out of the corner of my eye, making me look back every few seconds. The tunnel seemed to stretch much further than the dimensions of the building should allow. After what felt like an eternity of crawling, I reached another door at the far end of the passage. It was identical to the one I had just entered, even down to the same rusted iron latch. My hands were trembling as I reached out to touch it, feeling a strange vibration coming from the other side. It felt like someone was tapping on the wood, mimicking the rhythm of my own heartbeat. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open, expecting a dead end or a basement. I stepped out of the tunnel and froze in utter disbelief as I looked around the room. I was standing in my own living room, or at least a perfect replica of it. The same boxes were stacked in the corner, the same mahogany wardrobe was pushed aside, and the same flickering light hummed above me. But something was off. The air was perfectly still, and the light had a sickly yellow hue. I checked my own front door, but it was locked from the inside, just as I had left it. I walked over to the coffee table and saw my own phone lying there, identical to the one in my hand. I picked it up, and the screen lit up with a notification. A video had just been uploaded to my account. I opened it and watched in horror as a video of me crawling into the tunnel played back in real time. But wait, the video was being filmed from the perspective of the wardrobe I had just moved. Someone, or something, had been watching me the entire time from inside the wall. Suddenly, I heard the heavy sound of the front door unlocking, not the door in this room, but the door back in the real apartment. I scrambled back toward the hidden crawl space, desperate to get back before whatever was coming entered. I peered through the tunnel and saw a figure stepping into my original home. It was wearing my clothes, it had my height, and it moved with a strange, fluid grace that felt entirely inhuman. I held my breath, praying it wouldn't look toward the wardrobe. I ducked back into the replica's wardrobe, peering through the slats just as I had seen in the video. The other Elias walked into the center of the room and stopped. It stood perfectly still for a long minute, its back to me, its shoulders twitching occasionally. Then it slowly began to unpack my boxes, placing items in the exact spots I had planned to put them. It was moving with a terrifying efficiency, as if it had rehearsed this life 1,000 times before. The doppelganger suddenly stopped its work and tilted its head at an unnatural angle, nearly touching its shoulder. It didn't turn around, but I could hear it whispering my name in a voice that sounded like a distorted recording of my own. Elias, thank you for the keys. it rasped. My blood ran cold as I realized it wasn't just a copy, it was a replacement. It began to hum a childhood lullaby that I hadn't thought about in years, a song my mother only sang to me. Then it turned. Its face was mine, but the eyes were hollow, black pits of nothingness, and its smile was too wide, stretching past the limits of a human mouth. It looked directly at the wardrobe where I was hiding and began to walk toward me with jerky, stop-motion movements. Every step was accompanied by a wet, crunching sound, as if its bones were breaking and resetting with every movement. I scrambled out of the wardrobe and dove back into the crawl space, screaming in silence. I crawled through the tunnel faster than I ever thought possible, my nails scratching against the wood until they bled. I reached the end and pushed against the door to my real apartment, but it wouldn't budge. I hammered on it, shouting for help, but then I heard a heavy thud on the other side. The mahogany wardrobe was being pushed back into place. I was being sealed in. I could hear the doppelganger laughing, a sound like glass breaking, as the light from the crack grew smaller and smaller. Now I sit here in the replica apartment, writing this and uploading it to whatever signal I can find. Everything looks real, but nothing feels real. The food has no taste, the water doesn't quench thirst, and the clock never moves past the moment I entered. I can hear him out there, living my life, talking to my friends, and sleeping in my bed. If you find a hidden door in your new home, please, for the love of God, don't open it. Some things are buried for a reason. The replica is perfect, but it's a cage. Don't let this happen to you. Check your walls, watch your shadows, and never move the wardrobe. If you enjoyed this found footage nightmare, make sure to like and subscribe for more documented terrors. Comment below if you've ever found something strange in your house that shouldn't be there. Stay safe and keep your doors locked. We are watching.